We have all heard the stories of creepy haunted houses. Many horror movies are made about, and the same story is played out and told in a new way. A striking example is the house in Amityville. Also among the people are very popular stories about ghosts wandering around medieval castles. Take for example the ghosts of Edinburgh Castle. But there is another category of haunted places that is even more interesting than the previous two: haunted hotels. And Top F will tell you about several of them in today's video. And before we start, support my channel with your like and subscription. Also, turn on notifications to catch all the new releases. Get ready to be scared. We start. The Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel in Canada. The Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel is one of the most popular locations in Canada, but its fame is due not only to the quality of service and good location, but also to the mass of mystical stories about secret rooms, ghosts, and missing tourists. The Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel, located in the Canadian province of Alberta, opened its doors to tourists in 1888. Its guests were not only ordinary people who wanted to enjoy the breathtaking views that opened from the windows of the hotel, but also celebrities such as Marilyn Monroe and Winston Churchill, as well as members of the royal families. In 1939, King George VI and Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon arrived at the hotel as part of a tour of Canada. However, Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel gained its fame not thanks to the famous guests who lived in it. It is believed that the walls of the hotel hide many secrets and dark secrets, and its rooms are teeming with ghosts. Construction of the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel began in the 1880s. Located in the picturesque town of Banff in the southern Rocky Mountains of Canada, the hotel was to become one of the best in the country. However, already at the construction stage, the first oddities began to occur. The team involved in the creation of the hotel made a serious mistake, as a result of which one of the rooms was built without a single window. When the builders realized their mistake, for some reason they decided not to report it to the hotel owners and simply walled up the defective room. Amazingly, this secret remained undisclosed for a long time. Only during a major fire in 1926, the hotel staff discovered a walled room without windows on the 8th floor of the building, which was later turned into a storage room. However, according to eyewitnesses, this room for some reason instilled fear in everyone who entered it, and therefore it was used extremely rarely. However, the walled room is far from the only secret of the creepy hotel. Cursed number 873. The largest number of stories is associated with room 873, located on the 8th floor of the hotel. According to some reports, the room, walled up by the builders, was not turned into a storage room but was converted into a room at number 873, but exact information about this has not been preserved. For many years, guests of the room have complained that this particular room is inhabited by spirits that are by no means friendly. So, one of the tourists said that at night an invisible entity pulled out a pillow from under his head, and another said that he was awakened by an ominous laugh and then thrown out of bed. At the same time, almost all the guests of room 873 spoke about the prints of children's hands on the mirror and walls, which appeared as suddenly as they disappeared. It is noteworthy that the hotel staff has repeatedly seen traces of small hands that could not be erased by any detergent. The prints disappeared on their own and then reappeared, instilling real horror in those who witnessed this action. According to legend, one day a family of 3 moved into room 873, a couple and their little daughter. After a few days of staying at the hotel, they suddenly disappeared, after which the Fairmont Banff Springs hotel staff decided to go to their room and check if everything was in order. When the administrator and the maids opened the door of the room, they were horrified. All family members, including the child, were dead. According to one version, the guests were killed by an unknown criminal. According to another, the wife and child died at the hands of the head of the family, who suddenly lost his mind, killed his wife and daughter, and then committed suicide. Some researchers believe that this story formed the basis of Stephen King's famous novel The Shining. Subsequently, the cursed room was permanently closed, and its door was walled up. Currently, it does not even appear in the plans of the building, but even today, some tourists see the family who died in room 873 in the corridors of the 8th floor of the building. Ghosts of former hotel employees. The friendliest ghost of the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel is the messenger Sam McCauley, who died in 1975. Hotel guests have repeatedly seen a smiling man who opened the door for them, helped them get into the room if they lost the key, and even woke them up in the morning. According to the guests, the ghost looked like a living person. He was dressed in a plaid shirt, the one in which he was at the time of death, polite and extremely helpful, and therefore no one had any idea that it was a ghost. The hotel staff recalls that during his lifetime, Sam literally idolized his work. He often worked overtime, replaced sick employees on his days off, and did not refuse to take on additional workloads. Probably, even after his death, he continued to treat his work with great love and did not want to leave the walls of the hotel. In addition, guests of the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel have also spoken about the ghost of the bartender who urged them to go to bed if they drank too much alcohol, as well as the spirit of the gardener who floated on the hotel grounds with garden tools in his hands. Dead bride. Another ghost of the hotel is the bride who died on her wedding day, whose soul remained forever within the walls of the building. Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel was a favorite place for wedding ceremonies. For 133 years of its existence, the hotel has seen many happy newlyweds, but the story of the deceased bride left a dark stain on its reputation. In the 1930s, another young couple decided to celebrate their wedding in a picturesque Canadian hotel on the appointed day. The guests gathered in the luxurious lobby of the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel and, together with the groom, began to wait for the appearance of the bride, who was supposed to go down the stairs, decorated with hundreds of candles. Everything went according to plan, when suddenly the hem of the bride's wedding dress caught on one of the candles, as a result of which the outfit instantly broke out. Panicked, the girl began to make sudden movements, trying to bring down the flames. She stumbled and, losing her balance, fell down the stairs and broke her neck. The doctors who arrived at the scene reported that her death was instantaneous. The tragedy that happened that day shocked not only the guests of the wedding, but also all the inhabitants of the province of Alberta. People began to ascribe the status of accursed Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel and tried to avoid it at all costs, and those who still decided to check into the hotel began to talk about seeing the ghost of the deceased bride. According to legends, her spirit, dressed in a wedding dress, loves to walk around the hotel lobby, but most often it can be seen on the very stairs. In the evenings, the bride goes down, stopping at the place where her dress caught fire, and freezes in anticipation. Lady in Red and the missing guests. Another terrible legend of the hotel is associated with the Lady in Red. In 1944, a terrible car accident occurred near the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel, as a result of which a young girl died. It is believed that everything happened so quickly that her soul did not have time to realize what happened, and now wanders around the hotel. Unlike other ghosts, the Lady in Red is a vicious and aggressive ghost. Hotel guests said that in the evenings she wanders in the garden and makes terrible sounds, scaring guests, and besides, she likes to attack tourists in the elevator, suddenly emerging from the hatch. There is also a legend that in the last century guests regularly disappeared at the hotel. According to the staff, more than 100 guests of the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel who settled and disappeared without a trace sometime after they arrived at the hotel. However, the management, wanting to hide the fact of missing people, ignored incidents by issuing eviction papers. However, at the moment there is no data that could confirm the version of the disappearance of tourists. Although today the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel positions itself as a luxury hotel for a luxurious holiday in the mountains, most tourists continue to arrive in the hope of meeting famous ghosts. You can find a huge number of mystical stories on the web related to one of the most sinister locations in Canada. Of course, their authenticity cannot be verified, but paranormal hunters continue to explore the hotel in search of an answer to the main question: are ghosts living in its walls? Hotel del Coronado. Hotel del Coronado, located in the Californian town of San Diego, is famous not only for its unusual architecture, bright spacious rooms, and proximity to the cleanest sandy ocean beaches, but also for paranormal phenomena. The construction of the California Hotel del Coronado began in 1887, and a year later it opened its doors for the first time to respectable guests who want to have a great rest on the coast. On its beach, the original wooden buildings, decorated in the Victorian style, are still preserved. Now the Del Coronado Hotel has bars and restaurants and luxuriously decorated banquet halls. On its territory there are outdoor pools with clear bluish water, and the interiors of unusual rooms are designed in the ocean style, with unforgettable views of the Pacific Ocean open from the balconies of many rooms. But vacationers in this chic place often encounter manifestations of the other world, as if someone from the dark world is trying to infiltrate the bright world of space filled with sunlight. Tourists often meet a ghost with a female silhouette. Mysterious events and meetings with a ghost in a woman's dress at the Del Coronado Hotel began already in 1892 when a mysterious murder took place in a luxurious American hotel. The hotel had been operating for only 4 years when on November 24, 1892, another guest settled in it, a beautiful young woman named Kate Morgan. Kate was the wife of Tom Morgan. In the late 1800s, the Morgan couple traveled a lot around the country and earned their living through numerous train scams. In November 1892, Kate discovered that she was pregnant. She decided to stop her criminal activities and settle down somewhere. Tom didn't want to change anything. The couple argued on the train on the way to San Diego. The husband got off in Los Angeles. However, even before the quarrel, the couple agreed to celebrate Thanksgiving together at a San Diego hotel. Kate is staying at the Del Coronado Hotel under the name Lottie Anderson Bernard. But on Thanksgiving Day, Tom never showed up. During her stay at the hotel, the woman often complained of feeling unwell, and the hotel staff noted that she was very pale. It is now believed that perhaps Kate took a large dose of quinine in an attempt to get rid of the unwanted child on her own. It is known that she had a gun with her. There was no doubt that Morgan was emaciated, and so when her body was found on November 29th on the steps of the stairs leading to the beach, with a bullet hole in her temple and a gun nearby, the incident immediately ruled a suicide. However, already in 1990, Alan May, a lawyer specializing in murders, published the book The Legend of Kate Morgan, The Search for the Ghost of the Hotel del Coronado. He studied the investigative file and concluded that Kate did not commit suicide, but was killed. Rather, May claims that she was killed by her husband. The bullet removed from the body did not match the caliber of her gun, and the position in which the corpse lay, according to the lawyer, is completely atypical for a case of suicide. In the hotel, Kate stayed in room 302, now it is room 3312. But even in room 3502, where the hotel maid lived, very strange things sometimes happen too. In both rooms there are, for example, inexplicable problems with electrical equipment. For example, the lights suddenly go out. Periodically, a cold breeze runs through both rooms. Employees claim that they saw how things move as if they were taken by invisible hands. Those guests who dare to stay in these rooms complain of a state of depression and say that the curtains fluctuate even when the windows are closed. Others speak of unintelligible whispers coming from nowhere. Kate's ghost was also seen descending the stairs of the hotel and standing on the windows. According to Alan May, the hotel's electrician assured him that the light above the stairs where Kate died would never work properly. The light bulb there is constantly changed, but it immediately burns out. May also claimed that when he stayed in one of the ill-fated rooms, the face of a young woman appeared on the screen of the switched-off TV. 2 employees of the hotel also reported the same phenomenon. Room 3502 has its history. The maid who lived there was a friend of Kate's. The day after Kate's funeral, the woman disappeared. There is a version that Tom Morgan killed her, like his wife. And the hotel staff secretly buried the body so that the hotel would not lose all the guests. Now the Hotel del Coronado is an architectural monument, and, despite the ghost wandering in the night along its corridors, it attracts a large number of guests who are not afraid to come face to face with the manifestation of the other world. Madonna and the Prince of Wales, American presidents, and the long-dead comedian Charlie Chaplin rested here, enjoying views of the Pacific Ocean and excellent service. On the contrary, the ghost attracts even more attention to the Del Coronado Hotel. The female silhouette in a black translucent dress is a local landmark, a kind of hallmark of an unusual Californian hotel. To see the ghost, and if possible, to photograph it, many hotel guests strive to uncover the secret that has attracted and at the same time frightened for hundreds of years. By the way, everything that happens in the hotel was described by parapsychologist Christopher Chacon. These stories inspired Stephen King to write the story 1408. Castle Hotel Ballygalli. Today Ballygalli is a well-known three-star hotel. It should be noted that in the 1950s a hotel was attached to the castle building. The castle was originally built by James Shaw, a native of Greenock, Scotland, who came to Northern Ireland in 1613. Shaw built the castle in 1625. Shortly after construction was completed, Shaw married Lady Isabel. According to local legend, during the early years of their marriage, Lady Isabel Shaw gave birth to a daughter. Her husband was so upset by the fact that he had no male heir that he locked his wife in a tiny castle tower overlooking the sea. And then, in the legend, there are disagreements either in despair from separation from her daughter and in an attempt to get out of the castle, Lady Shaw fell out of the window, or on the orders of her cruel husband, she was thrown down the stairs. Logically, the first version is rather strange. If James Shaw wanted an heir, then they might try again. However, the rumors that circulated at that time said that Lady Shaw had a lover and her daughter was from an unknown person. When James found out about this, he was furious and locked his wife in the tower. Nowadays, the spirit of Lady Isabel Shaw appears in the old part of the castle, especially in the so-called ghost room. Rumor has it, however, that the unfortunate woman is not the only ghost in this hotel. Olga Henry, the hotel's director, had been with Ballygalli since January 2003, and although she is from Northern Ireland, she didn't hear any ghost stories until she started working at the castle. She quickly became aware of the ghosts of Ballygalli. Henry said, "I am kind of skeptical about everything supernatural and ghosts. But the more I stay and work here, the more I think this hotel has something." In the old honor of the hotel, in the castle section, there are 4 guest rooms located under the ghost room. Some people specifically book rooms in the castle section, and staying in these rooms exceeds all their expectations. Henry told about one of her visitors who stayed in the old section of the castle while in town on business. She explained, he stayed in one of the rooms of the tower. At home, he had 4 children. At midnight he dreamed that he was at home. He was lying on his stomach in bed, as if one of his children put his hands on his back. Then he woke up and realized where he was. He said that he heard the child running around the room and laughing. Then he came to the reception in just his shorts and said, "Get me out of the castle." The castle section also houses 2 private dining rooms, one called the Dungeon and the other room 1625. The dungeon has an antique stone floor, a large fireplace, and pebbly plaster walls. It was in the dungeon in December 2003 that Henry experienced something special. Henry told how a group of directors was going to stay at the hotel and have dinner in the dungeon. "We prepared the room the day before they arrived. I made sure the glasses were shiny and the candelabra was in order and everything looked festive. After cooking, we froze the room. The next day, while the arrivals were checking in, I decided to go and open the dungeon in case they wanted to take a look at the place where they were to have dinner. When I opened the dungeon, the table was a complete mess. Nothing, except for the glasses that lay in a circle on the table, was touched. All linen napkins were unrolled and partly scattered on the table. In the center of the table lay a round mirror in which stood candelabra. Everything was covered, including glasses, with a layer of dust. It was not the kind of dust that can be wiped off. It was like some kind of plaque. But it was nowhere else in the room, neither on the floor nor on any other surface in the room, only on the table. My hair stood on end because I thought, was there another key to this room besides mine? And even under such circumstances, I could not find an explanation for this. Even though the old part of the castle is the most actively haunted, they appeared throughout the hotel. Henry told about the mediums who came to Ballygalli Castle and told that on some evenings there might be more spirits in the hotel than guests. The usual tales speak of the sounds of children laughing at play, the rustling of silk dresses when no one is around, and the water in the shower turning on by itself and flooding the rooms below. There are many reports of ghosts knocking on room doors throughout the hotel. Is it ghosts or people jokes? It is not clear, but when visitors open the doors, they do not find anyone in the corridor. The spirit of Lady Isabel Shaw resides exclusively in the old section of the castle, especially in the ghost room. The week before Christmas 1998, Kim Lenigan, a reporter for the BBC's Good Morning Ulster radio program, was recording a series of jokes for Halloween. She decided to spend the night in the ghost room of Ballygalli Castle as one of the jokes. I spoke to Lenigan in her office on the BBC in Belfast about that night at the Ballygalli that had exceeded all her expectations. Lenigan said, "We thought it would be funny. We decided, let's spend a normal night in a creepy house." Lenigan arrived at Ballygalli Castle on a dark, windy, cold October evening. She arranged to meet a medium there, who gave only her first name, Sally. Sally didn't want to be on the news. She came here just to get in touch with the spirit. Like the other mediums, Sally told the hotel director that several spirits haunted the hotel. Lenigan and Sally went up to the cold, drafty ghost room, and Sally began to meditate for making contact with one of the ghosts of Ballygalli Castle. The ghost room is a small room with a bunk made of forged mild steel, a dressing table with a small mirror, a chair, paintings on the walls, and a small window overlooking the sea. Lenigan said that Sally seemed to be in contact with the spirit, and that's when things began to change. Lenigan said she wasn't in a trance, she was focused on what she was doing. And I'm standing with a tape recorder hoping for the best. Then the room began to warm up. I want to say significantly warmer. The room temperature must have risen by 10 degrees. Then Sally started talking to someone, and there was a smell as if caused by a rise in temperature. It wasn't a breath, I mean the smell was there all the time. It smelled like vanilla, but it wasn't vanilla. Along with the smell of vanilla, there was a smell of antiquity and mustiness. Musty vanilla, I know it sounds funny. But that's exactly what it was. At that moment, Lenigan's hair stood on end. The medium was talking to someone in the room who was suffering. Lenigan compared summoning a spirit to listen to a telephone conversation from one end. Sally tried to calm what she later called the spirit of the woman, who was very upset. The medium then explained that it was the spirit of a young woman who was frightened and was looking for her little daughter. The medium told Lenigan that they kept her there against her will, and she said the old woman wouldn't let her leave the room. During the conversation, this woman constantly ran to the window and looked out for a man named Robert, who was at sea. The spirit did not understand why Robert did not come to her. The conversation went on for 7 or 8 minutes before Sally's expression became blank and she said, "I lost her." Lenigan said, "I immediately understood because when she said this, the smell disappeared. The usual smell cannot come and go like that one. It seemed to evaporate, there was no trace of it left. Also, when the smell disappeared, the temperature in the room began to fall drastically." Going down the stairs, the medium told Lenigan that whoever was to spend the night alone in the ghost room should not worry, the spirit was not the devil, he was just scared. Sally wasn't sure if the spirit would return that night or not. After midnight, the medium left, and Lenigan went up to the room, taking with her a flask of coffee, a tape recorder, a magazine, and, she admits, some brandy for medical purposes. She settled into a cold, uncomfortable room and admitted that that night she had no intention of closing the door, turning off the lights, or going to bed. But around 2:30 she gradually began to calm down. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, the room became noticeably warmer. Lenigan said, "I thought it was the effect of coffee and brandy. Then it got even warmer, and I thought, no, I was mistaken. and then I suddenly smelled that very smell. However, it was sharper. There was a smell, but the strangest thing was that it almost wrapped like a sheet. It was all-encompassing. It reminded me of how we smell clothes, hair, and bed. I sat there for about a minute, paralyzed with fear, and thought, I am a journalist, I need to record this moment, that's what I'm here for. So I took a tape recorder. It was funny when they listened to the tape the next day, but at that moment I was not laughing. So, during the recording, I say 3 hours morning. It's getting warmer in the room, I can smell it, and then I said, I don't like it, I'm going home. Lanagi states that she broke several Olympic track records that night as she raced down the very steep lobby stairs. She said that musty vanilla scent had followed her as she ran up the stairs, but disappeared as she stepped into the new part of the hotel. The bar's night manager gave Lenegam a drink and led the trembling BBC reporter to the furthest room from the castle, where she spent the rest of the night. At breakfast the next day, the director said that the unpleasant knocking on the door did not stop that night, as some guests in the old part of the castle complained of strange light knocks. One visitor even said that a woman entered his room at midnight, and when he got up to get a better look at her, she disappeared. After breakfast, the director suggested to Lanagi that they go up to the ghost room again and inspect it in the daylight. She got up rather timidly to that room. There wasn't that smell, and it was very cold, like when she first walked in last night. They were already leaving when the director said, "Oh God, look at the mirror." She looked and saw her name written on the dust of the mirror, Kim. Lenegam said, "I did not do this." Henry told her to ask the staff, but they all swore they didn't do it. The Ballygalli Castle Hotel is a combination of ancient charm and a bit of an assertive Irish spirit. If you suddenly hear a strange knock on the door in the middle of the night, be kind to Lady Shaw, the poor thing has suffered a lot. That's all for today, my dear friends. Mr. Top F was with you. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Also, write down in the comments what topic of the video you want to see in the next release of Top F. Bye.